I think it was our first 10K, as you know. We want to go from a 5-mile race to a 6-mile race here at the championship season. And so you're always looking at how those guys look after the race and how they recover, and kind of looking at their body language. And it looks like they look good. They survived it, and they're feeling good this week. And we're probably in the best position we've been all year to have one more good race.
I saw, Patrick won the regional there, and I know he had a hip deal he was dealing with earlier. Just how's he, would you say?
Like I said, I feel like he got off to a little bit of a slow start, but I think his legs under him now. I was hoping. I think we talked about this before this past regional race, and came to fruition. He ran really well. Felt good. We kind of tucked in a few extra workouts with him. And I think it's paid off, and we'll see what happens on Saturday, but he did a great job, and all my guys ran within themselves. Nobody was overextended, except for maybe one athlete. I think that was the case.
And I know you guys don't want to run when it's hot, but it's supposed to be really, really cold in Stillwater.
Right.
How do you think you guys will handle that?
Well, I mean, it's basically, finally good preparation, beforehand. Try to keep our guys, as warm as possible leading up to the race. So that just takes some logistics. Some people aren't familiar with it. We get to that course about an hour and a half, before the race starts, and you get into a cold tent, and it's not real comfortable when there's a wind chill and all that. So we're prepared to get our tent heated up and keep guys really warm. I'm not a big believer in layers once they get into the race. I'd like to have them just race with a pair of gloves and maybe some a headband or something. But I don't like a lot of clothing on them. So we're going to try to keep them as warm as we can, and then get them to the starting line. So how it happens after that, it's anybody's guess.
So where Ben got SEC freshman runner of the year, and I know he ran pretty well at conferences. What do you thought about his season, and what are you looking for from him?
Well, he's doing a great job. Like I said earlier, he's light years ahead of where he was last year at this time. So I think that bodes well for this weekend. Bob, we didn't run him last Friday. We held him out, and because this is his first go around, and we just felt like, hey, we could afford to rest one of our top 5 guys, and that's who I chose. So his legs should feel good, and hope for a good race.
Okay, I think I'm good. Thanks.
Anybody else with a question?
Bob hit all mine.
It's pretty simple. Gun goes off and you run 10K. But I appreciate you guys being on.
Thank you.
Coach Harter should be with us here shortly, so we'll add him once he's available. Coach Bucknam, as far as your team, is this one of the youngest groups you've taken to a national championship race?
Looks to be. Yep. Looks to be. And I think we're ranked. I think they have us ranked 20th. And there are 32 teams in the race. So we'll see how that all plays out, but just hoping the guys are feeling good and we can race really well and do better than what the polls have us.
You mentioned clothing. This is just a curiosity question. Are there going to be other teams that do layer up? I feel like that's counterproductive.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be other teams, I think, that you'll see some people wearing tights, and not a lot, but it's a pretty elite group of teams that are there. So they all know their business pretty well. It's just keeping the kids warm. Like I said, I just don't believe in a lot of layers, because that you warm up pretty quick at the rate they're running. So you'll toss some gloves off, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Here's the man.
Hey, sorry, I just got done with another workout. It's always something.
Bob, did you have a question to start with Coach Harter?
Yeah. Hey, Lance, just how do you feel overall about the team going into the meet?
Well, we just lost one of our key runners in Katie McCune, in a very unique injury to her leg that everyone is scratching their head about where did that come from and how was that possible? So she is out. We'll go with our alternate, Adawet Vaughn, and we're gonna have to count on 3 freshmen in the lineup, which is not the greatest idea in the world, but reality is reality. The kids that are gonna wear the uniform are excited about the opportunity and are ready to go. We've done everything possible to prep for this championship, and as far as scheduling and racing, to ultimately get the experiences that they'll need to try to manage the challenge of the competition as well as the course.
So did Katie aggravate her foot injury, or what happened?
It was actually this time, now it's in the bottom of her femur, which is very, very unique in respect. Nobody gets a femoral on the lower 1/3 of their femur, and on the back side. So everybody is scratching their head, trying to figure out how could that even be possible. That's something that usually happens with either a car accident or falling off a bike or something of the nature, and none of that has happened in her life. So that's something that is really unfortunate, and she's only has 1 year of eligibility, so it's unfortunate that this championship is taken away from her. She is more of a half miler, 1500-meter runner, so the future is bright once she gets healthy to get ready for indoor and outdoor track.
And then you mentioned, so you guys can run 7, right?
We can, yes.
So who all do you plan to run?
We'll lead off with Isabel Van Camp. We'll run freshman Maya Cochran, freshman Sydney Thorvaldsen, Gracie Hyde, local Arkansas hero, Taylor Ewert. This would be her first national championship experience. Another freshman, Mary Ellen Udley, and then our senior will be Adawet Vaughn.
And then Isabel, obviously she's coming off a championship individual title at the district, or I guess it's the regional. I still call it the district, whatever.
Yes.
Is that, how do you think she's running? And
Addie, I mean, Isabel is running absolutely fantastic. She's had a phenomenal season thus far. The regional meet, she was able, as the rest of the team was, able to kind of cruise through, not have to go to the well to, have a high finish. And obviously we dominated quite comfortably, but Isabel is in phenomenal shape, and I think the lowest place she's had this year is 10th in any particular race. And so I think she's perfectly set up to try to have an opportunity to be an All-American again.
And then I think, so you guys are ranked 22nd. Of course, a lot of times the polls.
I think we got moved up. I think you know, we dominated the regional meet and they moved us to 21st on a
Oh,
courtesy
okay.
vote.
Well,
Yeah.
Just how, I mean, what do y'all feel like is a realistic goal?
You know, I think we definitely are capable realistically of being somewhere in the teens. We definitely want to be, you know, under 20 preferably. I think that's a realistic goal. And I think it's realistic that Isabel gets a chance to return as an All-American.
It's gonna be your last NCAA cross country as the head coach. Any feelings about that?
You know, it's I've spent very little time even thinking about that. Well, I would probably get emotional and tear up and Coach Bucknam make fun of me, but I just want to let these kids get a chance to run really fast and have a great experience, because essentially this whole team, when we put everybody back together, will return next year. And I think that's going to be a great experience for these kids at the meet.
Hey, Chris, is Chris, you still on here?
Yeah.
Hey, I forgot to ask you, do you know your lineup?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Could you mind reading it?
Patrick Kiprop, Jacob McLeod, Miles Rector, Elias Schemmel, Ben Shearer, Ryan Murphy, Josh Shearer.
Okay. And then I guess maybe for both y'all, you guys are running Stillwater obviously earlier in the year, and it's I think you feel like it's a pretty good course, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's a little challenging, or just what's those previous races been like, and just what do you think about running on this course? Have some experience on it.
In our situation, we've been there. It's a very challenging course, but it is absolutely manicured like your front lawn. I mean, it is absolutely perfect. It's almost, I think Chris used the term, it's almost like a grass carpet throughout the course. It is challenging. The topography is very challenging compared to most collegiate courses, but the footing should not be a problem whatsoever. And the weather will be a factor for everyone that's there. It's going to be cold. You know, we're going to have to make the best of it, considering the challenge that's there. I think one of the things that Buck and I face more than anybody is I counted 26 of the teams of the 31 are specifically distance program. And the majority of their resources, if not all, is geared strictly for this meet. And then they'll have a couple of representatives at the national meet in indoor track and outdoor track. But as far as a real track and field and cross country program, we're probably somewhat unique there.
Yeah, Chris, what are your thoughts on the course and having been over there before? And
Just kind of ditto what Lance said. You know, it's very well taken care of. It's pretty manicured. It's, you know, the footing is great, but you know, it's a hilly course, and the hills are situated strategically the way they laid it out so that it inflicts as much discomfort as possible. So especially on that second loop, coming into the final, the final finish line, it's a lot of it's uphill the last 1,000 meters before you do a short downhill to the finish, you know, maybe 100, 150 meters to the finish. So it's a challenging course, but we've been on it, and just got to, you know, use a little restraint. I mean, you got to run a smart race if you want to be successful on it. But the thing about it is, how many kids in this race? 200 and something athletes in this race, and it's chaos. And all the athletes are good, so you're gonna really have to, you know, not panic when you're out there. It's a high anxiety race in that regard, where you could be in 100th place And that's a pretty good place for you, right? And you're gonna have to, for some of our athletes, and you know, you can't look at it like you can't start running backwards, you know, at that point, thinking that all these people in front, because all these athletes are really good. It's, you know, a lot of, you know, it's one of the toughest races in the NCAA. So, you know, you look at other distance races on the track, Bob, and you get the 10K, you get the 5 in a track meet, you get a 10K in a conference meet, you get a 5K, you get a steeple, you get a 1500, you get a 800. There are all those athletes are racing on this weekend. You know, everybody's 7 best athletes of all those different events on the track. They're all conjugated in this one race. So it's very chaotic, and you just got to keep your wits about you and not panic. And you know, every place will count. I mean, they'll literally, if you've been to the meet, there's literally, you know, when you get into the middle of the races, after the first 10 or 12, there's 10 athletes in every 4 or 5 seconds. You know, it's like, you know, there's a lot of opportunity there too. So just depends how you look at it. That makes sense.
I've been fortunate to coach 4 world championships for cross country. This is by far the most competitive race, with so much depth of talent that, like Chris says, you know, the finish line, a lot of times people are finishing 3 at a time per second. And, you know, it's just amazing. And it is very chaotic. It's hard to have poise when you're used to winning races, and all of a sudden, like Chris said, you know, between 75 and 175, it's a sea of people, and people are moving forward and some are falling backwards. And it's real easy to kind of mentally get panicky, basically, because, oh my gosh, I can't see my teammates. I can't see where I am in the race. You know, I have no perspective. And that's one of the reasons why we went to Wisconsin. That was the closest simulation that happens to the national meet, is just that concentration of talent. So it'll be exciting.
Okay, Mike, I'm good. Thanks a lot, guys. Good. When you guys going over on Thursday or?
Yeah, Thursday afternoon, because we've seen all the sites in Stillwater, so there's no rush to get there right away.
Red Rock Deli, man, good place.
Been there. It was good. It was very good.
Yeah, good stuff.
All right,
Okay,
thanks.
thanks, guys. I'm good.
Thank you so much.
Just checking if anybody else had a question. Good deal. Thank you, everybody, for your time today.
Thank you.
Okay.